Social enterprise as a concept gained prominence 10 years ago, and subsequently, many variations of the model has erupted all over the world. Basically, what it is taking a social challenge and then morphing it into a business model. And in the course of addressing that social problem, you also start having financial returns. But the currency at play here is to fix that social challenge. I was absolutely amazed when I first heard about QueenPads. Um, Many of you would know this product. It's largely to do with feminine hygiene, and it literally exploded into the market 6 years ago. And the brainchild, Anne-Shirley Korave, I had the opportunity to sit down with her and talk about everything in business. I must admit, we first started talking about the importance of menstrual hygiene, why it's such a critical thing that is not gaining a lot of attention across, the different parts of the country, whether it's cultural taboos or the lack of awareness. But just to hear her speak with confidence, with vigor, with passion, and more importantly, the way in which she has dedicated her life to move into this space, highly inspirational, amazing person. This is the Anne-Shirley Korave story. Today, let's chat about something that's super important but often not talked about enough: female reproductive health. It's all about understanding how women's bodies work from puberty through menopause and making sure they have the support and care they need. This includes things like regular checkups, access to contraception, and the ability to make informed choices about pregnancy and childbirth. In Papua New Guinea, there are some serious challenges. Around 1,300 women die each year due to pregnancy related issues, making it one of the highest maternal mortality rates in the world. Many women, especially in rural areas, don't have access to skilled health care during childbirth, and cultural taboos can make it hard to talk openly about reproductive health. But there's hope. Organizations like UNFPA are working hard to improve things by providing contraception, training healthcare workers, and promoting education about sexual and reproductive health. Why does this matter? Because when women have control over their reproductive health, they can lead healthier, more empowered, and impactful lives. And that benefits the home, that benefits children, that benefits fathers and the community. My guest today is in the forefront of advocating, constructing, and pioneering in devising smart, practical, and sustainable ways to make female health care readily available to the women of Papua New Guinea. Anne-Shirley is a Papua New Guinean female social entrepreneur, founded QueenPads in 2018, social and green enterprise that manufactures reusable sanitary cloth pads and advocates for menstrual health in Papua New Guinea. Through her leadership, her team at QueenPads and partners are breaking barriers, reaching tens of thousands of women and young girls nationwide, despite the sensitivity and taboos surrounding menstruation. QueenPads also co-hosted the first panel discussion to commemorate the World Menstrual Hygiene Day in May 2022, and since has become an annual event. She is a founding member of the Pacific Menstrual Health Network since 2019, supported by WaterAid Australia, an advisory board member to the Pacific Menstrual Health Trade Finance Vehicle in 2021, now the Stakeholder Steering Committee member to Phase 2 of this initiative. And Shirley spoke at the 2022 Global Period Poverty Forum in Brisbane, Australia, hosted by Share the Dignity, and was awarded the Sustainable and Innovative Entrepreneur of the Year 2023. She is impact-driven and thrives on her motto, not in a race, rather a tireless learning journey, not to win, but to impact. Welcome.
Thank you.
So, Anne, let's dive right into it. What is female reproductive health?
Yeah, female reproductive health is a broader aspect of women's health. We look at the physical aspect, the mental aspect, and the social well-being of women in relation to the reproductive system. So that's pretty much what encompasses the female's reproductive health.
Mm-hmm. So let's dive deep into those factors that you mentioned. It's not just physical biology. There's a mental and social, pattern to this.
Yeah.
So let's unpack that further.
Yeah. So when we talk about the physical, we obviously the makeup of the female's body.
Mm-hmm.
When we talk about the mental side of it, women, a lot of females go through various challenges when it comes to their overall health. And there are instances where this does take a toll on their health, their mental health. Mm-hmm. Especially when we talk about menstrual health, to be specific, women, they deal with instances where they have to go, for example, they need to go to school or they need to go to work, but they're not able to, they don't have pads to use. Mm-hmm. And then they have to deal with, okay, where do I go? Whom do I ask? I need to go to that, for that appointment or to school, but, I don't have this. And then it stresses them. So that's really just an example of the mental aspect. But then another area that we can also look into is when the female realizes that she has an issue, a health issue, that is stressful as well. We look at the social well-being, again, just in relation to menstrual health. Menstruation, topic of menstruation is still very sensitive and it is still a taboo. So there are instances where a lot of women and young girls face shame and stigma. And it does affect their participation, in the community or in a setting where they have to be involved. And so there are instances also where they don't have money to have access to, services, and that sort of also affects them in just being able to have access to equal participation, better health care. So that's really like not the only reasons that's connected to the physical, the mental, and the social. There are other aspects as well.
I think for many folks, and probably I'm leaning towards the male gender.
Yes.
We tend to forget that this is an actual monthly occurrence.
Yep.
And in that 4 weeks, it's a huge disruption on, and it's a lifetime exercise until the body stops it. And even when the younger kids, it doesn't apply, but pretty much 40, 50 years of a woman's life is this. And I obviously have a wife, and and girls, kids, and so I perfectly understand the dynamics when this happens around the house, um, and yes, it's number one. It's such a well. First of all, it's a natural occurrence. Number one, but number two, it's a major disruption for the poor young girls or or the mature women. Um, the just wanting to lay it more deeper in that and probably what we can do is go into that conversation on the biology side, on the social side, and then the cultural taboos. And I also want to get into faith as well, primarily on the contraception side, because that's always an area of contention on some of the organizations that are in the faith space when it comes to contraception. But the first point of reference is this is a natural occurrence. And on average, which is the difficult demography when menstruation starts becoming problematic? Sorry, let me reconstruct that question again. In the period of life of a woman, and putting some focus on Papua New Guinea, where does it become challenging to manage these menstruation cycles? And probably let's break it down into those three areas of biology challenge, social challenge, and probably mental. So biology wise, on average, when does it become disruptive?
I would say towards the end, and that's because a lot of women today, years back, they do not know or didn't have the know-how, the access to information on how to better take care of themselves. So over time, some of the practices that they use to practice in managing themselves have some form of effect on their health. So towards menopause stage.
Wow.
There we go to a lot of communities and we engage with a lot of women. And some of them share their own experiences. Oh, we wish we knew this, years back, or this is what we are going through right now, and it's a bit difficult for us to get the right kind of help that we need. We don't know. Pretty much what they're saying is we don't know. So it really affects their bodies. Especially when it comes to those reproductive organs. And then we look at, what's the other category?
So just staying on
just
staying on the biology for a bit.
Yeah.
And again, I really want to break the generalities of this, and if we can go into some more detail around what you're saying. Okay, so they didn't know about this, and they wish they knew about that. What is that that they should have, might, if they had the opportunity, they would have known.
Yeah, that we should avoid being with our partners when we are menstruating. One.
So sexually engaging.
Sexually engaged,
right.
Yes, yes. And then
what happens when you do that, if I may ask?
Yeah, I mean, so with the health risks, the various infections that are also associated with unhygienic practices. So if the women and the men both have poor hygiene practice, they're not clean and they're not clean, and they are together during that time, higher chances of bacteria traveling back into the female's body. And so that would be...
And that damages the reproductive system.
So over time, it may cause various infections. And there are viruses as well that can, get into the female's body and cause, health risks that sometimes, the help that we need in terms of health services isn't available, readily available. So that is for really around the practices, and not knowing that they should change the products they use at a recommended time, just to limiting the amount of bacteria that may travel back into their bodies. And just understanding, one of the information that many don't understand, women especially, is the reproductive system and the organs and how they function. We've seen that when women that we've spoken to understand these organs and how they function and its importance, they could relate to why we say follow these good hygiene practices. And they appreciate these organs a lot more.
First of all, I was quite surprised when you mentioned that the demography that has greater impact is those that are going into their menopause.
Into the menopause,
right?
Yeah.
I would have thought just formulating that question, it'll be the young girls that are getting into their menstruation, but that in your view won't be as challenging than those at the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the young girls, like nowadays, we see that a lot of moms, especially in urban areas, they now have access to information, and they're somewhat equipped to educating their daughters. But I'm not saying it's the same right across. In rural areas, there's still a gap. We still have a lot of schoolgirls missing classes because they do not, first of all, they're not given that support they deserve, especially having products like pads accessible for them to use. So 2 out of 3 schoolgirls in rural areas are missing classes because of menstruation.
Wow.
And it's also safe to say that they still lack the knowledge, the know-how, and just really understanding what this special process is and how to manage themselves. And so we see a huge gap with women in urban areas and women in rural areas.
Oh, girls in urban areas and girls in rural areas.
Yes. But then again, there are girls in urban areas also that are not very much informed. So there are challenges. I wouldn't say there's more of women in menopause. I'd probably, it's more general. Like I can say that it's a fair sort of spread between the young girls in school and the older women who are about to or already reached menopause. Yeah.
So why don't we talk about those information gaps? Because that's a primary area that you're in. Yeah. What are the core factors that are not getting these folks to understand about
Yeah.
their physical anatomy.
Yeah. One of the common factors would be the sensitivity around the topic itself.
Hmm.
Yeah. And various cultural barriers that sort of hinders access to information. And so even some teachers try their best to educate their students, but they're not very much informed and very much confident to talk about the topic to a class that's both genders, male and female. And then for parents as well,
Right.
like a lot of moms still have challenge in that confidence to inform their daughters.
Right.
Yeah.
Wanting to look at that more closely about the sensitivity.
Yeah.
Let's try and get some depth around what's the causes of the sensitivity.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you know, if I'm a household in a typical PNG household, obviously there's a mom there, there's a grandmother there,
Yeah.
there's aunties and others that are there. So what's the sensitivity of that dialogue between those women talking about this important subject to the younger girl that's coming up? What's just expand on that barrier.
Yeah. So one of the reasons. So I'll just give an example. Let's say there was this woman that approached us after a session, and she said, "Oh, I wish I knew this information. If I knew, I would have been practicing myself. And now I've got daughters, which I feel like I didn't play my part to educating them. It's not too late." She said, I'm grateful that I now have some information that I can inform them, but they're already older. I'm a grandmother. So there is, back in the days, like our parents, our grandparents' era, it's very, there's a lot of, I'd say, taboos around this topic. It's only for women. And when we spoke to women of that age, they've lived life and they say, we never talked about this one, even to our daughters. And so it is mainly because of the cultural beliefs and cultural barriers. Okay, I'm not saying it's the same in all the provinces. There are some centers where they talk about it freely. And then there are some where it's still there's still barriers. And so the female or the daughter, let's say, she's not informed at home, but she tries to have access to that information to know outside of home. And it could be either at school or in attending sessions that we have that sort of helps to inform her. So really the sensitivity is just mostly from our experiences, from my experience with engaging with a lot of women. It's just the cultural beliefs and barriers that, and then the perception that it's shameful. We shouldn't talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough, huh? Yeah. So I'm really curious now. How has your organization made this conversation occur?
Yeah.
given all of these things that are hanging around communities?
Yeah. It's been really challenging for us to even just sit down with anyone and talk about it. But our approach has been that, with due respect to our culture, we do not go and say, stop doing what you're doing. We take an informal approach where we say, come, let's sit down together. Let's talk about this, and we bring health into the picture. And so all our conversations really centered around the women's health, and just really understanding, for them to really understand the importance of why we are advocating for this very sensitive topic. And so the responses have been really great so far with the approaches from our approaches that we've taken. They now understand. And I'm not saying that everywhere is accepting of this conversation. There are instances where, we have to just wait for an hour or two just to really get that okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I'm kind of looking at your activities. Apart from menstrual health, contraception, family planning is part of your engagement, pregnancy and childbirth, prevention and treatment on reproductive health issues. These are subjects you also participate in your conversations with the communities.
So yeah, we only touch on these topics very lightly, but we do have other organizations who are more specific in those areas where they get to the details of it. We do touch on the way it's relevant to menstrual health.
Right.
For example, when it comes to family planning, the different contraceptive methods does affect the regular cycle of a woman. And so we tell the women that when you reach that stage where you have to make that decision with your partner, it is your right to ask the nurse or whoever that's going to administer the contraceptives that how is it going to affect my cycle, and for how long. So it's very important that they understand that, and the importance of the family planning and their cycle. So yeah, those are topics, areas we only touch lightly on during our sessions. And we also make some referrals that if you want more information, there are organizations like Marie Stops, for example, who have very much hands-on in that space where they can give more information. But we share what we can share that's in relation to menstrual health.
Yeah. So again, I'm fascinated on how you've transposed that approach on engagement, dialogue, getting the right type of settings. Just walk us through on that creative design process of QueenPads. How did that interface happen between the dialogue and then having an actual physical solution in terms of a product affordable to give to the folks that you're having that engagement with? What was the light bulb moment that occurred?
Yeah. So back in 2018, so it started from my personal experience when I left my full-time job, and I realized that I didn't have financial backup that could see me through for who knows how many months before I figure out what I was trying to do next. And in that space of time, Couple of months had passed by, and I realized that I also needed pads every month, but I was not able to afford it at the time. So I was looking for ways that I could help myself. It turned out that when I had sample pads with me, I was distributing them to other women. I knew that they were unemployed also. So when in that process, the thought of who else out there, those women who are unemployed, what do they use? So it got me thinking. I decided to reach out to one of my former colleagues who lives at 9 Mile. And I said, Julie, I need to talk to you. So she met me once. I gave her some pads. And I told her, listen, I know where you live, there are some women there. Is it okay for you to bring them to your house so I can come and give them pads? Identify who is unemployed and I can give them pads. That very first time, I just gave them the pads, telling them what it is. And I started distributing, and they started asking me questions like, I don't see my menstruation for a couple of months, and then it comes on. Then like, what's wrong with me? Is it okay? Or like, is anything wrong with me? And then everyone's like looking at me, and I said, well, I'm an accountant, right? This question from general knowledge, I was able to respond, but it got me thinking, I need to come back. I need to come back with more information that would really help them. That was the light bulb moment for me. I went back, started to do a lot of reading, reached out to a lot of health professional friends that I have within my circle, get relevant information. I reached out to my friend Julie and said, I'm coming again. So this time we had like a proper session that also explained the cycle. And from there, we were able to sort of develop an awareness, educational content that we now use for our sessions. So that's how it all started. And we just we maintain the same approach, very, very informal approach. We don't use PowerPoint presentation. We just go sit with them and we start that conversation. And I think that's been very effective.
2018.
Yeah.
And walk us through the way in which this started getting serious for you, and what was that transition moment into saying that, you know what, this could be a job, this could be a lifestyle.
Yeah, that was 2 months right after that session at 9 Mile.
That quick?
Yeah. When I got an email to attend a workshop, a Pacific menstrual health workshop in Melbourne. I walked into the workshop room with no knowledge about menstrual health and products, like to the details of it. So that 1 week was an eye-opener for me. And I was the only rep from PNG. So it sort of gave me that I was challenged. When I returned, I'm like, I think I need to look into this a lot more. A lot of learnings at that workshop. It made me reflect on a lot of things back home. So when I returned, I told myself, I think I need to be serious about this. And so from that workshop, we started to refine our products and also refine our awareness contents. And we were able to have our first partner on board, Brian Bell Foundation, that sort of really boosted our, it fueled our energy, like it just gave us that boost to step out there and start facing women and young girls and just breaking those barriers and starting a conversation.
So this is still 2018.
That's still 2018.
Wow. So the light bulb moment followed up with an event to speak with professionals.
Yeah.
And this is someone that's had absolutely no health exposure. So what sort of accountant were you? Tax or general CPA?
Well, I had one more exam to do when I left my job.
Wow.
CPA. So yeah, an exam away from that, getting that accreditation. But yeah, I was doing tax. I was doing financial accounting, tax accounting, bit of audits.
Right.
Yeah.
So with that type of skill assisted you in making that absolute finality that this is something that I can do. And because when I normally have a conversation with entrepreneurs that are outside their core degree, their gestation period in launching off, it has to do with what they were doing prior, naturally, because that's where you build your rapport and your rhythm. And so they usually tell me that all the signs were there, and they would, I've got some friends in your accounting space as well. They knew that the numbers said yes, or the predictions and the thinking said yes, and then jumped in.
Yeah.
So I'm, just hearing your story, the convergence of the program, the content, and the product itself, the physical product itself, that convergence merged. And in break speed, you knew that this was something worth pursuing. Let's go into your factory floor. Tell me, what does the ecosystem look like in manufacturing these pads?
Well, back in 2018, it was pretty new, so we didn't really know much about the ecosystem in country.
So who's we?
Sorry, I. So when I say we, I think I'm more comfortable to say we because I represent QueenPads, but I. So I didn't really understand the ecosystem in country. I had an advantage, which was prior to the birth of QueenPads, I had attended a couple of entrepreneurship boot camps. And so some of the skills, I sort of took that with me on this journey. And so
yeah, take your time.
So I'm just like trying to process this. It's like taking me back, and then I'm trying to like, oh my gosh, so much has happened over these years. So I'm just trying to like, it's also emotional just thinking about this whole journey.
Yeah, no, definitely. So probably just to aid that thought process. I'm just trying to get a picture in my head when you did the first. So it's pads, huh? Is that the name of it? Right.
The QueenPads.
Right.
Yeah.
So was it a sewing machine experience that you sewed one or knitted one? Just trying to get
that got me into that.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I have to do.
Because you were telling us that you got unemployed.
Yeah.
Like anything in unemployment, cash flow was an issue. So you started creating your own pads.
Yeah.
Right. So was that via a sewing machine? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So in terms of our production, we've been using initially secondhand materials.
Mhm.
So specific identified secondhand materials to sew. And then over time, we've been refining.
Mhm.
We've been refining. You know, when you mentioned about the numbers, I wasn't looking at the numbers at that time. It wasn't something that I was focused on. It was really, how do we get these pads to a better refined product, that quality that women can use.
Mm.
We want to say 5 years lifespan of this product. We need to prove that it would be 5 years. We need to give quality. When we are advocating for menstrual health, we want to ensure that what materials we're using is of quality. So yeah, we had to start with some basic sewing machines that were donated by Sir Brian Bell Foundation. And then, yeah, that led us up until 2021, when we were also able to like add some more industrial machines into our site.
Right. So in that 18 period, just again,
Yeah,
trying to get some scope here. You did your beta product. You did your first
yes,
one, and these are the ones that you had surpluses. You took it to your friend Julie.
correct.
This was you alone. This was your own initiative
Yes,
in this period,
yes,
right? And then things started getting serious after that.
yes.
Again, just speaking to entrepreneurs in their product development phase. So after your discovery, and then you start getting feedback on materials,
Yeah.
doing your own research. The product obviously started materializing,
Yeah.
and the quality started increasing. When did you know that this can become a social enterprise? And we're still in 2018.
Yeah.
Wow.
So 2018 passed.
Mhm.
We started the whole year 2019 was just refining, testing and refining. So we didn't do much in that year.
Can I ask a really, really
Sure.
dumb question?
Sure.
How do you test this?
You know what we used?
Mhm.
We had to use cordial.
Like any cordial down a shop.
Yeah, we had to and then we had it a thick mix.
Okay.
And then just to test that was to test the capacity, the volume capacity, and the leakage.
Absorption.
The absorption. Yeah, that was crazy. But that was during the 2029. But the 2028, as soon as I had so I have a friend who is a seamstress. She was the one that I reached out to help me have something to use, right?
So this is version 28, 29.
2018. Yes.
2018.
Yes.
In 2019, you were doing your R&D.
Correct.
Wow.
And then I was a bit impatient in 2019, but the year just went by so fast. And in 2020, we had our first. So in 2028, we also created a Facebook page.
2018.
18. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So all our outs and all our sessions around the city in communities, I've been posting them. So we started to gain a lot of followers, a lot of interests. And in 2020, we had our first order. I think, if I may recall, 1,500. I was like, what is happening?
Wow.
I wasn't focused on numbers. I was so excited. I was like, it's okay. You can get it for this much, And then the excitement in getting the pads out, that's where I was like, hang on a second. I don't know how to use the sewing machine. I had to ask my mom to come teach me how to use it. Oh my goodness. And then I was like, no, I can't be doing this. I need to hire some people. So that's where I had to recruit the first seamstress. She came, tried her best. I still had my friend there. I had to ask her to come and join us initially. So they tried to do the orders, and it took months. We didn't deliver within the time frame. That disappointed our supplier. Our customer. That was a huge lesson learned. But then, and we made a loss, but it was okay. Right after that, just seeing the pads in the boxes and the boxes being picked up, that was like another boost. Like, let's do this.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Look, again, somebody that's been in the technology space, scalability is always a huge thing across all businesses, and getting that right balance on you have a back end model that's ready for scale. That's always a very complex question because at some point you're going to be investing in capital, skill to scale up, and it's at that trigger point that you really need to step into literally the open seas. Look, fascinating, and again, a big part of that interconnection in your business is the awareness that was going, step by step. In that 2019 year, just to go back in your R&D phase, did the awareness part suffer because you were focused on your R&D, or?
Not really. I think we did do about probably less than under 5. Yeah, we did have some sessions because I kept bulk of what was produced in 2018. So we had like 300 that I actually paid for labor from my friend. It started with 4 and then 30 and then 300. So the 300 was just carefully managed so we could still do and 2019 wasn't like, okay, we're coming to your community, bring, it was sometimes like a one-off random conversation with somebody I know. Maybe we meet at the shop or, somewhere. Yeah. So that 2019, we still engaged with women. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fascinating. So now you're a social enterprise. 2020, things are looking stable, moving forward. That obviously gave you the confidence to then looking at the broader advocacy that you pioneered. So tell us that transition. Business is looking good. You're now ready to be an influencer, so to speak. What did that entail?
Yeah, at that time, I was more focused with the product and the awareness. Didn't really think about the scalability. It was just, for me, it was just, okay, who else can we reach out to and give these pads to? Until in 2021, there was a shop in Vision City that was interested to have our products in their shop. And now looking back, there's like a huge difference in terms of presentation, product quality, product presentation, packaging, and this. But yeah, that was really another another boost for us. In terms of our awareness, that also in 2020, 2021, we went all out. I had to recruit a programs and awareness coordinator to sort of start coordinating and leading out in the advocacy and just having flyers and brochures. So we were sort of putting together some of those contents that we could distribute, pull up banners, those kind of things. But it was, for me, I was always excited to wake up. Like sometimes I don't sleep, because I'm just excited. I just want to keep working and, with all that has developed within that short space of time. Then I just knew that I just felt deep within that this is something that I should continue to pursue for the women, and having a lot of support from various organizations in recent years, like in the past 3 years, has been amazing. Like it helped us to reach the 40,000 plus women that we have reached so far. And we were able to do production, like we've produced over 50,000 already, and distributed them, in 17 provinces. Just having that reach right now, having a team back at our site, it's just, the satisfaction is just huge. There's a lot, to talk about. When you talk about entrepreneurship, it just takes me back to, there was this time where at the Cool Game Changers boot camp, and, Anthony Smare was there, and I remember him telling a colleague and me that, and every one of us, that, after this boot camp, it's like we're throwing you in the ocean. And you will have to learn to swim on your own. These oceans have sharks, and you will have to navigate yourself.
So when was the boot camp?
That was in 2017.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Just before the big
before everything happened.
moment.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I look. I've met peers that have undergone that program and completely different organisms after.
Yeah.
But you were already with a full-time job, huh?
That's right.
Wow.
I told my manager at that time that I will be taking 2 weeks off, and he said, "Do you have to?" And I said, "Yes, I have to." And he said, "That's okay, leave without pay." And I said, "Thank you." So I attended the program. That was in June, July, August, September, October. 4 months after, I made that decision to leave the job.
Yeah, and look. I mean, we definitely talk about, throughout our conversation, taboos in, the area that you're working in. But there's also taboos in entrepreneurship that you've also had to battle.
Yeah.
So it's 2025. Tell me, what does QueenPads look like now? You mentioned the word site. What is site? Is it a factory? Is it
We have a small production site that has a couple of machines, sewing machines. So we pretty much produce our pads. The team produce around 100 to 200 plus in a day. And we are diversifying in our product lines, introducing other reusable sanitary products like panty liners, zipper pouch, and yeah, we as a green business, we're also considering saving the planet. So we have a lot of waste materials that we've accumulated over the years. So we use those to make throw pillows. Yeah, so I mean, a lot has happened, and all thanks to all our partners and the team and everyone who's been, playing their parts in bringing us this far.
Amazing. Let's probably wrap it up with two questions. I guess the first thing that comes to mind is who have been central figures in your journey that's really told you that hail, rain, sun, drought, just continue moving?
Yeah. That's my mom and my dad. Yeah. The come rain or shine, they're my go-to place. I go to people. Just their belief and their support just keeps me going every day. So every day I make it my business to connect with them.
Yeah. So are you that entrepreneur that's in the basement with mom and dad, or you moved out, you're doing your own thing?
Well, ever since the birth of QueenPads, I was out on my own. Yeah. Funny, I had the place that I was in, with the support of the Brianville Foundation, we secured a bed sitter. And so I was living there, and we had machines in there. So it started off there. I was able to, I had a roof over my head. And then during the day, we had a space where the team can work from.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they kicked us out.
The bed sitter kicked you out?
Yeah, when they realized that, hey, hang on, there's a lot of women in uniform coming here.
So this is 2018, 2019?
2019.
Wow.
To 2020,
Yeah. And then 21, you got your current site? Yeah,
I mean, after they kicked us out, they were kind enough to offer us another place. They said, this place, we do not prefer this kind of activity, maybe there. So they moved us into a 1-bedroom for the same price. I was like, I mean, as long as, we've got space for our machines and the team can come. And then, that room wasn't very conducive at all. And, with the traction that we've made over time, there was a need for a more central location. It was at Gary, so like a lot of team members have to travel long distance there. So, we managed to secure this space, all thanks to Brian Bell. They were able to allocate a space that we were able to use since 2021.
Yeah. I got a lot of respect for Ian and his wonderful sister that runs the foundation. Even my own journey, Dad was there for 20 years, so we're one of those Brando brats. Yes. But you're right. The anchor that those organizations provide for entrepreneurs like you to nurture you. Apart from mom and dad, who were your professional go-tos that were shaping you and your thoughts?
Yeah. So Anthony Smurray, definitely. And then I was introduced to the former CEO for Paradise Foods, James Rice, who became my mentor. And then eventually led me to, before that, I was I was connected to Bronwyn from the Brian Bell Foundation, and just having the support and Ian's support was huge at initial stages. And then I met James Rice, and then that led me to meeting Semahesh Patel, and there's a lot of people. Also, Dr. Shakriya Bowman, who was also very supportive behind the scenes, just like giving those positive encouragements to keep going. And then I was so fortunate to meet a lot of individuals that I have deep respect for within. So when I left work, because of my experience in performing the board secretarial role in some of the companies, I was, grateful to have opportunities where I was performing those roles in some of these companies where I met a lot of respected people that I still value to date, and I've learned a lot just being around them and having random conversations about business and that kind of thing. So yeah, there's a lot of people to thank, but I think some of those that I've mentioned have really have influenced my entrepreneurship journey, and to date they continue to do so. And Robin Fleming as well. Yeah. He's been very supportive. Yeah.
So, what's the future of QueenPads?
Honestly, I'm just going with whatever comes. There are plans, but I believe that, it's good to have plans, but sometimes those plans won't, work. It won't turn out to our expectations. So it's just going with the flow. Our hope is that we reach more women, more young girls, especially in rural communities. So we wanna have just a lot of people, a collaborative approach to reaching those women and young girls. So organizations, various individuals and influencers, just joining voices or extending that help within their own capacity to reach those women and young girls. As far as teleforming or just very close to here in the city, like there's still women and young girls that lack access to information. They're not informed well, or even products. So that's what we want to do, and of course, continue to refine our product and introduce more product line in the future. Yeah.
Probably final question.
Yeah.
Let's look at the three big machines that can empower the pathways and the messaging that you've been very central around. So government. Let's look at that first, and then we can look at development partners and then private sector towards the end. What's the system in government that needs to hear your message or has heard your message, and how can they be a device that can go all the way to telephoning, if we use that as an example?
I'm happy to say that there's existing stakeholders that are involved in the menstrual health space from the government. We have, and that is through the Department of Planning and Monitoring, WASH unit. We also have the National Department of Education, the WASH unit, and the Curriculum Development Division. So those two sort of government bodies are already involved in the space.
This is good. Like, we should have that in all workplaces. I think just prioritizing menstrual needs. So, women don't have to go home because they don't have any pads. At least they've got something to use while they're at work.
Yeah. And Shirley, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
No.